for taking the time to look at this video about your home, your specific home, as well as what I do to get homes sold and the market in general. I usually like to make these a little bit more buttoned up, but I wanted to get you out something as soon as I could. And speaking of, the most important thing I can tell you is what I'm going to do to get your house sold. Everything else is just window dressing. You know, and all the marketing plan I'm about to talk about is completely complimentary in part. It's included with the full service listing that I'm going to provide. As soon as you sign the listing agreement with me, I start writing checks for these things and start taking care of these things so you don't have to. And the first and most important thing that I pay for is professional photography. Great photography is at the cornerstone of everything I do. And research has shown that buyers make a decision within a few seconds of looking at the listing photos. That's why I pay good money to have professional photographers come out instead of using my iPhone. Now let me just take a quick second to show you some of these. This is a listing that I took not too long ago in Kennesaw. As you can see, beautiful home, beautiful photos, and I'll make you a website like this as well. That's not as important as putting these out on the MLS, but you can see the photos here are really good quality, and I'm happy to pay for those. These photos will be used on the multiple listing service, used to make your home's web page. And of course, once they're put on the MLS, they'll be immediately pushed out to all the real estate websites like Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, and so on. So that's about the photos. The home staging, in order to make the photos look good, and also in order to make your house look amazing when potential buyers come to see it, I'll pay to have your home staged. Now, if your home is vacant, we can skip this step. It won't be necessary. But if the home is occupied or you have furniture in it, I'll pay Rhonda to come out and help you stage with your current belongings. She'll help advise you on where and how to declutter, where and how to clean and rearrange your current furniture and decorative items to shed the best possible light on the house. She'll even tell you what to do outside. And the bottom line is we need your house to look as close to a new construction model home as possible. And with Rhonda's help, we'll be able to accomplish that. The pre-listing appraisal. I'll also pay to have the house appraised to make sure we price it right. Now, just to be clear, when I say price it right, I don't mean give it away or undersell it or anything like that. But I take pricing very seriously, and just as there's a possibility of pricing it too low and leaving money on the table, there's also a real danger of pricing it too high. And as I'll show you a little bit later, if we price the house too high, we run the risk of the home sitting on the market, taking way too long to sell, and you actually end up getting less for it. So, pricing is an art, it's not a science. Therefore, if we don't have enough data to make a firm decision on where to list it, I'll have a pre-listing appraisal done so we know for sure. Now, just to be clear, I will list your house for whatever price you ask me to. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. But I'm not doing my job if I don't play devil's advocate with you a little bit about where we price the home and give my honest professional opinion about a list price. Again, we'll do what you want, but my job is to give you my professional opinion, and a pre-listing appraisal will go a long way to give us the best price. Or at the very least, it'll help us know when offers come in, and if they come in a little bit lower than what we were thinking, it'll help advise us as to where we should land. The internet optimization is key. Your home will be listed on both FMLS and Georgia MLS, which will then push it out to over 300 real estate websites like I was talking about earlier. Your Zillows, your Redfins, Google, Realtor.com, and so on. Now, this one right here, I will answer calls and return phone calls. I personally market your home, answer the phone, and return phone calls. This may seem obvious and something that's a given, but I can tell you in today's world of websites and AI, it is anything but a given that a listing agent will actually take the time to talk to people. It seems like everyone everywhere, but also in real estate today wants everything to be automated and done via computer and done via web page. That's not how I do business. Now, these advances in technology are really important, and I use all those, but it actually takes detailed person-to-person conversations to sell a house. And as someone who works with both sellers and buyers, I can just tell you from working on the buy side of some of these transactions There is nothing more frustrating to a buyer than not being able to talk to someone and ask detailed questions about the house to a listing agent. But it happens all the time. Many agents are refusing to answer the phone or call people back today. And I can just tell you from experience, this discourages many buyers and it causes them to give up on a perfectly good home. And it happens all the time. My promise to you is to never be that type of agent, not only with yourself, but also with the agents who are calling about the house. My job, the big part of my job is that old school relationship building that's just foreign today. I call every buyer's agent before and after they show your property to make sure they don't have any questions and try to get some feedback and generate some interest. Sometimes the fact that I'm calling will help an agent push their buyer toward your house because they know they can work effectively with me. Reverse prospecting. You've probably never heard this term, but I'll reverse prospect through the FMLS and call agents individually to invite them out for a showing. This is something 95% of agents don't do today. Most serious buyers are working with a real estate professional. And when an agent has a potential buyer who's looking for a home, that agent will set them up on what's called a listing email portal. And they are emailed new listings daily. These buyers will go in, they'll see your home, and they have the ability to like the house in the portal. When they do that, I can see that, and I can call them individually to invite them out to see your house. And again, this is something that's not very much done today. Now, I can't call the individual buyers themselves, but I can call their buyers agents. And I can't tell you how many times this has worked to get more buyers in the door to see your house. Now, I can't guarantee this, but this also has the ability to get more buyers interested and may even lead to a bidding war. Now, that doesn't happen as much today as it did before, but it's certainly still possible today, particularly if we price the house right. Now, and sometimes all I need is one more interested buyer in your house to drive the price up. But at the very least, those phone calls will get more eyeballs on the property and more feet in the door, which is exactly what we need. And this is just another example of that time-intensive, old school, person-to-person work that I do that actually works. These last few things here, I'll market your home within my office of over 300 agents. I've sold many, many houses this way. Again, it's rare that this happens. Sometimes I'm able to sell it before it goes on the MLS. I use large attention-drawing signs. I put a warranty on the house so you don't have to worry about the dishwasher or the disposal breaking. And of course, I'll provide you with buyer feedback as we get it and keep an eye on the market in your neighborhood and surrounding areas, just in case we find out that we're not priced appropriately. Now, on the other side, there's a few things that I don't do. I've been in this business for 20 years, and I know what works and I know what doesn't. And over the years, I've tried almost everything and I used to do all the things that I mentioned here below. Many of these things I knew didn't work at the time, but they were expected. But I decided a few years back to trim all the fat and focus on what really works, like the items I just mentioned above. In exchange, I cut these costs and time wasters out, and I offer the listing at a discount. The first one is open houses. Open houses are designed for one thing and one thing only, and that's for real estate agents like me to get buyer and seller leads for themselves. And they've studied this, and a significantly low percentage of open houses actually lead to a sale. Many times, the only visitors are, they're nosy neighbors and people they're just not serious buyers. There are also safety and privacy concerns. Most visitors are without an agent and will be able to walk your home unattended. That leads to possible theft and just stuff you don't want to get into. I've had people come in with their kids and they let their kids run wild and jump on furniture. I even had a man come in with his dog and refuse to leave it outside. He insisted on bringing his dog in. It's just something you don't want in general. But the bottom line is that the burden on the agent and the seller, and they simply don't help sell the house, which is why I don't do them. These other things I used to do as well. I used to buy Facebook ads. I used to send just listed mailers, buy magazine space, post on Craigslist and print out home books and flyers and handouts and all this stuff. I spent a significant amount of time and money doing this, and it didn't move the needle at all. And these marginal marketing efforts promoted me, which was great, but they never actually sold the house I was trying to sell. They're simply doing these things and simply operating in the margins, and I don't do them anymore. Finally, this last item here, I promise to never show or open your home to unqualified buyers and sign callers. Although not often, from time to time, I'll get a call from someone who saw the sign. I'm always very friendly to these people and like to make the home available for them to see, but in almost every case, in every case but one, if I ask for a loan pre-approval letter or proof of funds letter to make sure they qualify to purchase the house, I never hear from them again. These people are just simply not serious buyers. The truth is, I would say 99% of these buyers are not serious and they're not qualified. And in addition, the last thing you want is for me to show your house to some stranger, them show up, hit me over the head, and steal all your stuff. We get reports of this kind of thing all the time, and I promise to avoid this at all costs. The good news is 99% of serious buyers are working with a real estate professional and will see your home through the MLS, and that is exactly how we're going to get it sold. I'll let you read this on your own time, but I'll also handle all the post-marketing and contract services for you. I won't go into this too much, but even though I offer a discount, this is a completely full-service listing where I'm not cutting any corners, where I handle everything I can possibly handle for you. Briefly, this includes providing all the listing and contract paperwork, dealing exclusively with the buyer and the buyer's agent, handling the buyer's inspections and subsequent requests for any repairs they might want, working with the buyer's lender, handling the buyer's appraisal, working closely with the appraiser, allowing access for the appraiser, and sending him comparables that shed the best possible light on the home. I'll make sure I meet with the appraiser and send him or her comparables that shed the best possible light on the house. My office hours are pretty lengthy. I make myself available to you 70 plus hours a week, as you can see by my office hours. I promise to always return your phone calls if they were during business hours that same business day. And of course, we will I'll have the same policy with anybody who's looking to purchase your home. That's most important. And finally, the commission. Almost all agents who you deal with are going to charge you a full 6% commission. I, on the other hand, charge a discount list at 5.5%, which on a $400,000 house is about a $2,000 discount. On a $500,000 house, it's $2,500. It's not insignificant at all. And all that discount comes straight out of my pocket. Of that 5.5%, I give away 3% of it, which is more than half, to the buyer's agent for bringing us a buyer. And that's 99.9% of the time your house is going to be shown, it's going to be shown by a buyer's agent with a buyer. And as you will see, I pay for all the discount entirely out of my pocket. And I offer the buyer's agent a full 3%, and I do this to incentivize them to bring us a buyer. The remaining 2.5% comes to my brokerage, Atlanta Communities, and by the time I pay them, I pay FMLS, I pay the photographer, the appraiser, and the stager and all that. My commission comes down to about 1.5%. And I mention all this because I like my sellers to know that I get less than a third of that 5.5% number. I'm not taking all that home with me. I'm taking that money and buying things with it, paying the buyer's agent, paying my brokerage, paying the photographer, and so on. But as far as the commission goes, you pay a discount for a total that will not exceed 5.5%. And finally, I'll let you read these on your own time. The highest return on your investment is going to be cleaning, paint, flooring, but most importantly, deep cleaning the house, depersonalizing it, and decluttering it. And so here are some other things I recommend people do before they list. Again, Rhonda will go over most of this with you when she comes out the stage, and I'll let you read this on your own time. But the bottom line is we need the house to be as clean and decluttered as possible when we get photos and when we list it. So if you have any questions whatsoever, let me know. Finally, we'll move over here to another document. Let's talk a little bit about the numbers and the comparables for your particular property. and we'll skip this for right now. Let me move on to another document. Bear with me just 1 second. And finally, here's some information about your house specifically. I do want to point out that the change in the median sale price in the United States is still up 5 to 7%, which historically is a really, really good number. Now, I want to show you some information about your zip code in general. In 30157, the median sale price is $370,000. Now, I believe we'll be below that, and which will be a good thing for comparison reasons, which means you're going to be a little bit under the market. Also, if you in Lake Avalon, the median sale price of all the houses in that neighborhood is $310,000. The average is $302,000. Now, the median days on market in your zip code 30157 is 18 days. I can't tell you how historically low that number is, which is a really good thing for you as a seller. Things aren't moving quite as fast as they were a couple years ago, but they're still moving pretty quick, fairly quick. Average days on market is 31 days. That number is always going to be a little bit higher because there are outliers that stay on the market for a year and a half, for example. Now, median days on market in your specific neighborhood is 24 days. So that's a little bit higher than this 18 number, but still historically pretty good. What I'm telling people now is to expect it to be on the market for 2 to 3 months. We're in a much more normal selling cycle than we were a couple years ago. Now, I could sell it that first weekend. I've done that multiple times, or it could take a couple months. I just need you to be prepared for either one. Average days on market is again 34. That number is going to be a little bit higher. The average average sale price to original list price is 99%, meaning if you list for $100,000, for example, and I know that's a crazy low number, you're going to get $99,000 on average in that zip code if you're pricing the home correctly. Few pieces of bad news, not many, but a few pieces of bad news here. This is something I alluded to earlier. 20% of listings are still failing. People are putting them out there at crazy high numbers, and it's just not working. So 20% of listings do fail. And these two numbers down here speak to how important it is, as we discussed earlier, of pricing the home correctly the first time. If you, in Metro Atlanta, if you have to have a price reduction, you end up getting 91% of your original list price, whereas if you price it right the first time, you get 100%. And same thing as far as days on market. The house is going to be on the market 9 days if you don't have to lower the price at all. But if you have to have a price reduction, it's going to stay on the market for a lot longer, which is, in this case, 80 days. I'm sorry, I'm going the wrong direction here. Now, I do like to show automated valuations. I think we spoke about this on the phone the other day, but Zillow has you at 310. This AVM and United Wholesale Mortgages Valuator, which is something that realtors can subscribe to, has you at 328 and 320. Not bad numbers at all. Now, I do want to point out that tax records aren't an indication of tax or of actual value. If your tax records show you at $500,000, I'm sorry, it just doesn't matter. That's what the government thinks it was worth. And finally, for appraisal purposes and for sale purposes, we have to look at all properties that have sold. Not active properties, not coming soon properties, not even properties that are pending. What we need to be looking at are sales. Sometimes what happens is, well, a house lists down the road at crazy high. Well, the one down the road just listed for 400. Just because they listed for 400 doesn't mean that's what they're going to get for it. And I want to show you some numbers specifically in your neighborhood regarding your house. Now, I pulled ones from Lake Avalon here, and these are the ones that have closed within a year. Okay, you can take a look at these. These are fairly similar to your house. Not exactly. Some of them have, upgrades. Some of them don't. Some of them have siding issues. Some of them don't. But these are the houses that are, have either finished or partially finished basements. You can take a look here, and so on. And I can send all these to you. This one's a little bit more beat up. The basement's a little bit more beat up. And I'll go and show you one more here. Again, houses somewhat similar to yours. This one's a little dated here. Ooh, look at that wallpaper. Anyway, let's take a look here
I want to show you some stats though. If I select all these and go down here to the stats bar, you can see that the average of these houses is 325. The median is 335. So these numbers are a little bit better for it. Again, this is without me having laid eyes on the house yet. But I think we're somewhere between 300 and 325. Maybe a little bit more depending on what I see. You know, the pool, is the pool a factor? Well, it depends. There are some people who say don't take me to a house with a pool. Some people are looking specifically for a pool. So it just depends. But just wanted to show you those numbers. Again, I'm really looking forward to going out and taking a look at the house. And I appreciate you guys considering me, and I will be in touch as soon as I do so. As always, if you have any questions whatsoever, give me a call, 404-626-5747. Talk to you soon.